All right, let's cover the new changes real quick here that they made. November 25th, that's today, they made a bunch of new changes. So these are still on PTR, so they're not live yet, but they're making additional changes on top of the, changes they made previously on November 14th for the last PTR patch that we got. So we'll go over these real quick here. Some very interesting ones, actually. So I'm just going to go over the different ones. So Wandering Keg update, we now know what this does. Wandering Keg updated to a targeted force QC instead of a self-cast. I saw Spazzo explain this on Reddit earlier. So basically what this actually meant, the change was that for the first 0.125 seconds of Keg, you previously, so on live patch right now, you are forced to move in the direction that the Chen is facing. And now you should be able to move in any direction you click instead of whatever direction the Chen's facing. But it's only for the first 0.125 seconds. So I never even noticed this. I doubt many other people have. But hey, buff's a buff. I mean, that's technically a buff to it's technically a buff to Wandering Keg. All right, we have some Samuro stuff. Um, Advancing Strike will now copy Smuro's state for all of this stuff. I don't really know what this stuff means still, so I'm going to kind of skip over this. If you guys know exactly what it means, you can type it in the comments. Same for Critical Strike. I'm assuming this is just more quality of life stuff. Um, Everything else we've already talked about in the previous patch notes video, so this is all the same, this is all the same. Now this is one of the major new changes. So they're messing with Arthas again. They're changing it on top of what they did last time. So they reworked the rework. This is rework number 2 now. So previously they were just going to add a 0.25 second silence onto Arthas's level 13, but now it looks like they're changing that. Now they're changing it to if your death coil, your Q hits someone that is slowed by your passive, your D, then they'll be silenced for 1 second. And this is kind of a big change because there's a big difference between 0.25 second silence and 1 second silence, right? 0.25 was just going to be for interrupts. 1 second you can use not only just for interrupts, but you can also use this like just, 1 second. That's like you combine that with a root, they're going to be rooted for a second, they're going to be silenced for a second. Root plus silence is stun. So now you effectively have a 1 second stun, which can be useful in a lot more cases. Like, you get on top of a Rhaegar, you can stop them from casting Ancestral for quite a long time now, for a whole second. Or you get on top of an ETC, you can stop him from casting Mosh Pit for a second now. Or you get on top of a Zul'jin, you can actually, stop him from casting Tazdingo for a full second. That's a lot more effective than, the root or even the 0.25 second silence. Um, Level 16, they're gonna change this a little bit as well. Basically, the cooldown for your passive, your D, it starts as soon as you use the D, but you only have 4 seconds to well, okay, so it starts as soon as you hit someone with the first D. But this is the double D talent, right? You're level 16. This talent gives you 2 Ds, one right after the other. So the cooldown starts as soon as you use your first D, but you only get 4 seconds now to hit your second one. So if you don't hit the second one within 4 seconds, it's just gonna go away. Whereas previously it would just like last forever until you hit someone with it. So that's the change there. This is also kind of interesting. The other big thing is like there's a lot of D.Va buffs. I guess the janitor's watching my stream or something. Finally. It's about time, janitor. Alright, so max HP a little bit increased. D matrix 50 to 60. That's pretty reasonable. It's like actually a reasonable buff. Am I picking? No, I'm not. Alright, we're good. Alright, so 15% extra duration for the healing. Just buffs across the board. This is just numbers buffs across the board. 2 to 3 seconds. That's like a 33% buff. This is like reasonable number buffs across the board. This is not tiny. This is actually pretty reasonable, right? 8 damage buff here. This is like what, 10, 11% damage buff to Bunny Hop. Um, Cooldown between charges decreased by 2. That's pretty 40% less cooldown between charges. These are like pretty significant number changes. So if all of this goes through, D.Va's probably not the worst hero in the in the game anymore. It's pretty significant. It's not nothing. Um, Probably still won't be that good, but you got to start somewhere. Might actually be decent. But yeah, more number changes. Just literally just number changes across the board, buffs across the board. So that'll be interesting. I'll be looking forward to testing out D.Va. Imperious thing is still the same. And then the last thing here is Varian's Demoralizing Shout. So I actually was talking about this when we tested PTR a week or two ago, right when the patch got announced. We went on PTR, we tested it. Demoralizing Shout. Make sure I don't dodge. Originally, they were just gonna lower the cooldown of Demoralizing Shout by 2.5 seconds, and then they like ninja changed it to Demoralizing Shout would reduce the cooldown of only your parry by 2.5 seconds. And I was talking about this, I was like, yo, janitor, like, are you serious? Parry by 2.5 seconds only for Demoralizing Shout? It's like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life, because, Varian's parry cooldown is a 10-second cooldown, right? Time, bring up the calculator. 10 times 0.025, so 2.5 seconds. That's a quarter of a second cooldown reduction on your parry if people that get shouted do damage. That's really bad. It's not good. It's not good. So I said that, and now it looks like they kind of make it so that both of the cooldowns are reduced by 2.5 seconds. It's still not that good. There's no way. I still don't think this is better than Banner. 50% extra healing on Banner is still way better than this, but hey, at least it's not only parry anymore. At least this will be like somewhat reasonable now now that it reduces the cooldown of both of these. Oh yeah, and the last thing I forgot is last patch notes I said the Lily changes were like very insignificant. They're actually reasonable. The cooldown reduction here is actually reasonable. Maybe 10-15% buff rather than a 1% buff if you're going for this healing build. I think this one sucks. I think the other options are better than this one, but this one is a reasonable buff if you're going for the healing build. All right, that's it. That's basically the new patch notes.